All right, so you're seeing this either on Wednesday or after. And the last couple days, particularly this past weekend, it looked like a bloodbath. Things were coming down. People were freaking out. I happened to be out of town. I was out of pocket for 2 days. I looked Sunday evening. And for me, based on past experience, I bought some stuff. I wasn't losing my mind. Why? Let's talk about that. 3 things we're going to talk about. Past seasons of bull runs in crypto, what we should expect, and what is currently happening. So let's take a look at that. First, I'm a big dumb animal. Don't do what I do. Informational purposes only. That's what I always say. We're going to look at here the phases of a bull cycle. So we've shown this before where this red line talks about smart money buying in real low here. Then you've got institutional investors. You've got these potential bear traps where they try to drive price down so people sell out and they can get things cheaper before it eventually takes off. Look at how it applies to these 3 events you're probably very familiar with. The 1929 stock bubble. See how the green line moved up and followed these phases? The dot-com bubble doing the exact same thing. Bitcoin in the 2017 run, the exact same thing. So that's why we look at that and these past situations being applied. You can see where those phases do play out. Now, where are we in terms of this cycle? I did a video recently talking about Bitcoin dominance. The prevailing view is that Bitcoin's dominance, which is the percent of the total market that its market cap is making up. So at the moment, it's at 61%. So it's almost 2/3. So if it's $3 trillion total market and Bitcoin is 2 trillion of that, it would be about 66%. It's when it starts to drop first. And we looked at this chart last time. Here it is here. It shows how on the left-hand side you have Bitcoin dominance, and that's this blue line. And then you've got in blue 36 months, and then an alt season of 12 months. And the alt season started when this blue line hit a peak and started to drop. As it went back up for 36 months, it hit a peak, started to drop. That's the alt season for 12 months. Here it is going back up for 36 months. Now in 2025, it looked like it may have peaked in January. This is the beginning of February, and we just saw Bitcoin dominance. This was the peak that we were looking at on the chart. It dropped, but then it spiked up recently because of all the other cryptos coming down so much that Bitcoin made up a larger share. It looked like it may have shot up and wicked for the day at around 64%. Now it's around 61%. If we look at it on an hourly, you can see it's basically going sideways. Okay, so theoretically, if this is the peak, then we should start, and it starts to go down. That's when alt season starts. Look at this new graph I found right here, picture. This is others in relation to Bitcoin. Others essentially being the altcoins. And you can see in 2017 here, when it went through an altcoin season, and then again, another altcoin season 2021, when it hit that trend line. And then here, it hit it recently. Looks like it'll hit it again. Looks like potentially altcoin season. Okay, so we're taking a step back. We're taking a deep breath. And we're saying, all right, that's fine. We're not in altcoin season yet, but this is ridiculous. When all of my crypto goes down 30 or 40%, that doesn't make sense. Hold on. We're going to take a look at others. Again, let's just say this is altcoins. Now, last time the orange line here represents the peak at the 2021 top, and it was around almost 500 billion. Let's sort of zoom in. This is a daily chart. You can see that it had a nice run from about 50 billion all the way up. It peaked here to 400 billion, and then it dropped significantly. We use this little ruler here, and you can see that peak dropped all the way down, and I think it was around, looks like 70% drop. All right, that's a huge drop. But on the way up, let's see what happened. Look at this one. Peaked from here. Actually, let me zoom in a little more to make this first run more obvious. And then let's take a ruler and let's say, look at this high, and it shot down within a couple days or a week there. And that is that's 30% down. So on the run up, it dropped 30% right there. What about let's just grab this next one here. 25%. What about this one here? 30%. Okay. We don't have to keep doing these. You get the idea. Just in this first run up last time, it had at least 3 dips of 25 to 30%. It's a $10 coin going to $7. A $20 coin, 30% drop would be going to $14. Okay. And then it hit a peak and it dropped 70% from there. So that means some people were looking at a $100,000 portfolio right here and then dropped to $30,000 and then rocketed back to, I don't know, about 120,000 before it began its descent down. So let's take a look at what that actually means, and then we'll talk about risk reward. Here is ICP. I like ICP. I just bought some more ICP on this recent dip. If we look here, back in December, and then let's just look at 2025 at this peak right here and drop it down to recently, 43%. So almost a 50% or more drop, close to 50%. So that's not an uncommon thing. We saw before 25 to 30% is not uncommon. And if we looked at go back to the others chart, we know that 25, 30%, 70%, that happens. But that's in the run up. We're not quite there yet because I don't think we're yet in altcoin season. Where are we? Look how far off we are to last time's highs. If last time's high market for others was 500 billion, we're down at 275 billion. That's almost half of that. To me, altcoin season, it needs to run up here and blast through this. Now, let's talk risk reward. So the first thing we identified was it's not uncommon for things to drop quickly at 25, 30%, even 70%. So yes, you're going to see coins as they're moving up have significant drops for various reasons. Some people have multiplied their leverage. Some people are just selling out because they may have profits. Whatever it may be, it's going to happen. Now, if we're talking risk reward, here's what I mean. Personally, when it comes to the difference between this market and years ago, I think this market is going to be substantially stronger because of the ETFs, because of all the different wallets, because of the ease of use of onboarding, because of all the media attention, because of just more people realizing the use cases and using it, you name it, it's a completely different world. So I believe that not only will it get to this 500 billion of last time, but I'm looking for hopefully 2 trillion for the others. If that's true, saying if, then that means I consider my risk reward really low. I consider it to be low risk, high reward. When it starts to get to 1 trillion, that's changing, right? Because now it could drop significantly and have this huge drop off. When it gets closer to 2 trillion, it's a lot different. What do I mean by that? What I mean is, of all my crypto, I didn't sell during this recent 30 to 40% drop because I believe it has a long way to go up. If we were at a total market for others, the others market cap being, let's say it was up to $2 trillion. And I thought, that's pretty high for this time around. If it makes it all the way up here, and then it starts to have a 30 or 40% drop, I'm going to have a much different feeling about selling. So let's say it gets to 1 trillion and it starts to have a drop. I may dump 25, 30% of my coins, maybe a little more. And if it gets to 2 trillion and then it starts to have a drop, well, I might get rid of everything because in my mind, the reward of it going over 2 trillion is incredibly risky. I'm risking a lot. I believe it could drop much faster and much farther than it could go up. Right now, it's the other way around. I believe it can rocket up and only drop 30 to 50% on its way up. But once it gets up there, it's flipped on its head. Thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful. Zoom out, decide what you think the market's going to do, and then when you've got these drops, you can make a better decision as to whether or not you think it's a time to sell. Personally, I don't believe it's now. I picked up some things like ICP, HBAR, and I picked up a couple other small ones. Have a great day. Hope this was helpful. Hope we can all make generational wealth together with crypto. Thanks for watching.